you guys on the internet last week? Because I saw this clip.
Like the words of a former president, John F. Kennedy. He once said, ask not what you can do for your country, or what your country do for you, but ask what you can do for your country.
And I was thinking to myself, okay, so Turning Point USA is fully having drunk old men on stage. Fully drunk. And I was like, I wonder why they chose to escalate things in such a way. And you might have also wondered too. Turns out Mr. Drunk man on stage wasn't just a lost guy who wandered in from the bar. This was a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, Representative Gosar, and he was glitching. And according to Turning Point USA, it's not what you think. We love a frantic cover-up theory about what Turning Point USA is hiding. Let me tell you, they're certainly hiding something here, but the secret isn't behind Gosar's viral meltdown. And it isn't a medical mystery either. And it isn't even a spiked drink. There was no Eric Swalwell in sight. Well, this entire timeline was busy diagnosing his posture. Everyone completely missed the one mistake in Gosar's speech at this Turning Point USA event. And it's exactly what they hoped you'd ignore. So if you still think Turning Point USA is just a plucky band of college Republicans handing out pocket constitutions on the quad, I have bridges to sell you. They have evolved. They are now aggressively targeting children. They have 49 employees whose entire job description is to funnel teenagers into their political ecosystem. And so how does a highly funded, highly produced political machine inspire the youth of today? By busing them into a rally, to have them sit their little tushes in the auditorium and watch a 67-year-old congressman sway at a podium like he's a lost ship at sea. And if you think platforming a drunk Republican politician for a room full of teenagers is a bad look, just wait until you find out who this guy actually is.
Do not just cheer. Sticky papers.
He is not the picture of health and wellness, but let me set the scene for you. April 2026, Dream City Church, a mega church in North Phoenix. Turning Point USA is throwing their Build the Red Wall rally to hype up conservatives ahead of the midterms. Enter Representative Paul Gosar. Enter is generous. He steps up to the mic. Steps is also generous. He looks visibly unwell. He delivers an absolute gem of a soundbite.
We've got a president who reminds me of Atlas. He carries this country on his back.
The sheer, unadulterated pandering. Gotta give it to him on that. Gosar is out here giving Nancy Mace a serious run for her money in the sycophancy Olympics. Between him quoting RFK like a philosopher king, and also, in case you missed it, Pete Hegseth, Mr. Kegsbreath, quoting Pulp Fiction, pretending it's the Bible last week. It's just, the universe is really delivering for people like you and I. But here's the thing. Nobody was actually listening to the words. Instead, the audience and the internet were captivated by his head swerving, his body swaying, his words tumbling out like he was tumbling out of the bar at 3 a.m. They could barely escape his mouth. And social media, we on the internet, we did what we do best. Immediate, unlicensed medical diagnoses. We had people saying he was visibly unwell, which is, again, a very generous way of putting it. Other users saying that potentially he was diagnosed with late-stage Parkinson's. These were debunked. Others assumed the man was just hammered. He was just Nancy Maced. And the truth is actually more depressing. This man wasn't drunk, and he wasn't invited by Turning Point USA to be the town drunk. But according to a decades worth of reporting from the Arizona Republic, Gosar just does this. Every time someone points a high-definition camera and he's there, the tremors are with him. Back in 2015, and this is no shade to tremors. This is about this man's alcoholism, wide out in the open. Back in 2015, when asked about his hand spasms, Gosar casually blamed a cocktail of arthritis, compression neck vertebrae, nerve damage, and a hip replacement. But don't worry, when asked about his overall fitness for the office, he brushed it off, assuring everyone, "I'm healthy as a horse. Not gonna get rid of me that easily." Oh, God. And real quick, today's episode is brought to you by Cozy Earth. So while Turning Point USA is busy busing teenagers to watch politicians glitch out in real time, The rest of us normal people are just trying to figure out how to show moms in our lives some love ahead of Mother's Day. Mother's Day just sneaks up on us. Dog moms, people moms, mom figures in our life, all of us, I see you. I've got one of my favorite Cozy Earth robes myself, and I have to tell you, it is the softest thing I own. Sorry, Willa. People always ask me, Lauren, how do you stay sane and calm covering stories like the one I'm unpacking today? And honestly, it's the robe. It's the slippers. I just put it on and I exhale, and somehow the news feels a little less jarring, which given what we're about to go through for the rest of this episode, I definitely need that. Their robes and slippers are cozy, plush, and the details are incredible. They're backed by a 100-night free trial and a 10-year warranty, so it's completely risk-free. Let this Mother's Day be a reminder that she deserves care too. Cozy Earth turns everyday routines into moments of softness and ease. Head to Cozy Earth and use my code Lauren for an exclusive 20% off. And if you see a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here on LPTV. Okay, so now we're going to get into this man's resume from hell and why he was a perfect fit for Turning Point USA.
Will Representative Gosar present himself in the well? The House has resolved that Representative Paul Gosar of Arizona be censured.
A powerful condemnation by Democrats today for Republican Congressman Paul Gosar of Arizona. As we mentioned, he's been unapologetic about that animated video depicting him killing AOC and attacking the President of the United States.
So you have to ask, why would an organization obsessed with slick viral aesthetics put a guy on stage who looks like he tumbled straight out of a dumpster and he's glitching? This is your man. This is your choice to put in front of a crowd full of impressionable teenagers, all with phones. And they certainly didn't do it for his charisma. They invited him because of his resume. Paul is exactly the kind of guy Turning Point USA wants to align themselves with. This is a man with the highlight reel of pure chaos. In 2021, Gosar earned one of the highest punishments the House can dish out because he tweeted an edited anime-style video of himself violently murdering a coworker, AOC, and attacking the president. A classic everyday workplace misunderstanding. Sounds like a really great guy. Sounds like somebody I would want to put on a stage drunk in front of a crowd of teenagers. And it gets so much deeper than that. This is the guy whose own family, 6 of his 9 siblings, filmed campaign ads for his Democratic opponent.
My name is Tim Gosar.
David Gosar.
Grace Gosar. Joan Gosar.
Gaston Gosar.
Jennifer Gosar. And I endorse Dr. Brill.
Dr. Brill wholeheartedly.
Congressman Paul Gosar's own siblings publicly endorsing his Democratic opponent, Dr. David Brill.
For those who don't know, I have 7 communists for sisters and brothers.
They literally begged Arizona voters not to reelect him. And his response, he compared his own flesh and blood to Mao and Kim Jong-un. It's giving Stephen Miller a little bit, not gonna lie. This is the guy who, the day after Senator John McCain was diagnosed with brain cancer, had his staff texting the governor to see if he could take McCain's seat if he kicked the can. He went on record to suggest that the white supremacist rally in Charlottesville was actually a left-wing false flag funded by George Soros. Oh, and during a high-stakes congressional hearing with an FBI agent, he confidently declared that because he is a dentist, he is an expert at reading body language. Okay. It is a resume of pure toxicity. But of all of that, that is just the appetizer, because the real reason he is the far-right darling of Turning Point USA, the one they chose to put on the stage, you just wait. Because in 2022, Gosar decided that the best use of his time as a sitting U.S. member of the House of Representatives, as a congressman, was to be the featured speaker at the America First Political Action Committee. He also just happened to give a speech at a conference organized by Nick Fuentes, a man famous for Holocaust denial, white nationalism, and being flagged as an extremist by basically every watchdog group on the planet. Gosar didn't explicitly endorse white nationalism again here. He was just happily headlining their convention and lent the legitimacy of his office to the cause. What a guy. Instead of anyone talking about why a mainstream youth pipeline is platforming an extremist, the internet gets distracted. And we focus on how drunk he is and not all the really terrible, terrible things he's done leading up to the moment where he was drunk on stage in front of teenagers. Look, who needs completely sober congressmen when you can get this type of entertainment? I'm kidding. Obviously, please get rid of them all. Anywho, that's all for now. We'll continue to come back with more. And by the time this next video arrives, I'm sure Turning Point USA will already have been up to some riff-raff nonsense. Chat soon.